Hello. Welcome to another WriterlyWitterings. I have just had probably the most dumb comment from my daughter I've heard in a long time. That's her, the producer-director there, who said, "Why have you got so many books?" I'm a novelist, okay? Today, I want to talk about the Tinner's Rabbit. He's a good fella, and he demonstrates everything that's important about my mob, Morris dancing. Morris dancing. Lots of people think it's very strange, especially Morris dancers, but don't worry about that. The thing is that 10 years ago this year, I and a number of other people that is, were accosted by Mike Palmer at different events and invited, would we like to learn Morris dancing? This is not something that was high on my list of priorities at the time, but it seemed like a ludicrously interesting idea just as a concept, and I thought, oh, okay, yeah, we'll try it. And I and a number of other people started dancing, to the consternation and horror occasionally of Mike Palmer, to his tuition on dancing. And we started out with just the ordinary stuff, bells, and we decided to have top hats to go with. And we progressed, although my wife did say once that if I ever started dancing with handkerchiefs she'd divorce me. We've been trying it, I've been hanging these around the place and she still hasn't obliged, still. And we've even moved up to iron bars. These are iron bars, they weigh about 3.5 pounds each of them. We dance with 2 of them at a time, which is interesting and potentially extremely hazardous. Morris dancing has got very, very ancient roots. The oldest Morris dancing suit, I think, was found in the Tower of London, dating from about 1400. Some people said that it came from Moorish dancing. During the Crusades, the Crusaders went out to the Holy Land and they saw all these Saracens dancing around the campfires, clapping and dancing to the beat of a drum, and they thought, oh, that's good. That's why their armies are so precise in their manoeuvres. They hear a drum beat and they can wheel their horses around and charge in the right direction and so on. Personally, I think that's complete crap, because at the end of the day the Crusaders would have been dancing around a campfire, they all had tambours and other drums, so I just don't see any logic to that. However, it's quite clear that Morris dancing is very old. It's not, I'm sad to say, related to devil worship. I know of one innocent woman who will not talk to me because she's convinced that since I'm Morris dancing I must therefore be a Satanist. No, I'm not. What Morris dancing revolves around actually is the stuff that goes into these, because when we dance out we normally get free beer, and that's worthwhile. And that really is the point of talking about Morris dancing today, because this has been a dreadful year. It's our 10th anniversary year, and very sadly over the years we've mislaid Morris dancers. We had one who moved away from the area, Tony Clark, Colonel Clark from X of the Parachute Regiment. He was one of the founder members, but owing to the fact that when he went skiing in Alpbach some years ago, he put on somebody else's skis by mistake after a good lunch. That caused a corkscrew fracture of his right femur, and he hasn't been Morris dancing since. This year, Bev went skiing. Bev Hilton, who is our squire. Wonderful man. He's the man who gave me the Tinner's Rabbit. And he went skiing this year, and while taking a boot off, he managed to topple over and he fractured his femur. So we do have these slight difficulties, especially with Morrismen going skiing. I think they ought to avoid it in future. But also this year, unfortunately, Mike Palmer's lovely wife Sheila sadly died in January, and only very recently Roger Paul died as well. Roger was a delightful fellow. He was one of the founder members. He was fabulous to know. Anything you wanted to know about Dartmoor, he knew the location and he knew how to get there. He was so knowledgeable. But he was also the Sergeant Bilko of our unit, so whenever we went to Oakhampton Show, he would scurry off into the middle distance and come back and say, "It's all right, boys, we got beer laid on." And when we went to the beer tent, we'd have to dance once or twice, sing a song, and they would always give us free beer. And when it came to the Cornwall show, there were 4 or 5 beer tents, and he'd scurry along to the next one while we were doing our initial dances. and we always ended up very well watered. Not only that, he used to do a lot of hedging and other work, and whenever the Morris side ran out of sticks, he'd go and do some hedging and we'd end up with some nice new sticks. It was him who managed to scavenge these iron bars for us all. Got a whole bunch of iron bars because he knew a man who could provide them. Such a useful and very bright, witty, just delightful guy to know and have around. So that's very sad. However, the Morris side will continue. We're going to be looking for new members, but as a group, it's just the most delightful bunch of guys I've ever spent a lot of time with. So Morris rules, I reckon. Morris and beer, anyway. You've got to have beer when you're dancing Morris. It doesn't half help. Right, that was about it. But this, the Tinner's Rabbit, who even has the Tinner's Rabbit badge on his back, is the mascot for our group. Many years ago I used to work in the computer industry, and at the time at Xerox there was a tradition that there was a steak and beans promotion. That meant that the top salesman of the month would get taken out for a really good steak dinner, and the bottom salesman of the month would be given a can of baked beans. It was a process of management by humiliation, which was, I don't think, very nice. They did other things too, which were equally unpleasant, but never mind that. This is not in any way a punishment, but some years ago it was decided that certain members of the team who had achieved something, or who just felt that they deserved something, were given an award. This is the award. I won it because last year I missed more practices and more dances than anybody else because of being away on business, because I was in New Orleans. I was Grand Marshal of the first parade in the New Orleans Mardi Gras, and then I had to go to South Carolina and give a talk at a university down there, and then later in the year, when I should have been, if I was honourable, dancing with the side at the Royal Cornwall Show, instead I was in Toronto at the Bloody Words festival, because I was the international guest of honour, and that was fun. So I've been awarded this purely because I didn't turn up enough. Isn't that good? And that is pretty much that. And having said all that, now I have to get back to this list of books. That has to be finished and reviewed this week, that has to be finished and reviewed next week, and the rest I have to fit in as and when I can, because this is the review pile. One of them. There's more over there. Give me more time, please, to read. That would make life so much more easy. So, I hope that was interesting. And thanks. Comments down there. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. You know what it's all about. Thank you very much. And now it's back to my cup of tea. And Hans, if you want to ask why it's tea, it's a fasting day, it's daylight, it's a bit too early, so I'm on tea. Cheers.